In every generation, there arises an issue that captures our hearts and minds as no other. In the past, there was the issue of the clash of civilizations, the tension points between the East and the West. In today's polarized world, the subject of contention is the bitter, almost acerbic clash between liberal opinion and mainstream thought, which some also dub as right wing opinion. In India, we are polarized on practically every issue, but none so bitter as in the case of defining who and what defines being a Hindu. It is a battle we can ignore only at our own peril. It is an important battle because it defines what, in a sense, is the soul of India, who has the moral right to be a practitioner of this great religion, and who, in a sense, is the custodian of the majority faith in this country. On a day to day level, we need clarity on this issue because, be it the issue of majority rights or minority appeasement, depending on the way you want to look at it, or on the issue of the economy or COVID or even demolitions, the liberal and the mainstream are locked in an unrelenting fight to the finish. We will, of course, talk of all this more in a minute, but first, a big warm welcome to all viewers of the CAA show, in which CAA is, as all of you know, conversations and analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. In this show, we bring forward issues that are offbeat and yet of great relevance. And that is why, as I am fond of saying, this is the show for thinking folks. To join it, press the big red subscriber button on your screen, and subscription is, of course, completely free. Now, let us pick up the thread from a line used by many liberal commentators on television when asked to comment on issues of majority versus minority. The common refrain is, I am a practicing Hindu who is the BJP or the saffron cadre or the RSS to teach me what it means to be a Hindu. Will I accept the RSS concept of being a Hindu? Never. In a certain sense, what these liberal commentators are saying is correct. There is no standard nomenclature which defines what it means to be a Hindu. That obscurity is also a great strength of the religion. It is an all-embracing religion, and on a personal note, someone like me, being born as a Sikh and married to a Hindu, I marvel at the layer within layer and the great depth of Hindu philosophy, offset by a charming external simplicity which the common people embrace. Which means that in the absence of any given quota of what it means to be a Hindu, due recognition and importance must be given to how the ordinary person perceives Hinduism. And I promise you that the ordinary person's definition of Hinduism is so far removed from the liberal Hindu's perception and interpretation of Hinduism as Jupiter is far removed from Earth. The so-called liberal secular idea of Hinduism is a construct of Nehru's Fabian socialism hangover and an anglicized model of the real spirit of Hinduism. Now, what do I mean by that? This kind of Hinduism means taking out the passion, the raw energy of Hindu ritualism and worship and belief, which is then converted into an inert, lifeless, westernized, retooled, and remodeled construct of Hinduism. To give you an example, most liberal Hindus hate the saffron tilakdhari. They hate people sporting saffron headbands, scarves, and carrying saffron flags. They associate the symbolism with hate politics as symbols meant to intimidate minorities. Now, this kind of assessment therefore begs two questions. First, what would the secular liberal Hindu define as acceptable symbolism of Hinduism? Should the Hindu practicing of belief be carried out kilometers away from the nearest mosque or Muslim habitation so as not to provoke them? Should the expression of faith be apologetic, hesitant, noiseless, inert, the living dead? Should the Hindu give the appearance of the anglicized version of community guilt, of majorityism, to accommodate the sensitivities of the minority? To which furthest end does the liberal Hindu want this game of charades to continue? And this brings me to another point. Is not real Hinduism but an expression of the celebration of life in all its colors and joy? Even if the colors, the noises, the surround sound, the dress and wear of ordinary folks is gaudy, over the top, then what? Hinduism is a faith that is expressionistic, ritualistic, celebratory. It is an evolutionary religion, not a religion set in stone or codification as the liberals would like it to be. The other aspect that enrages the liberal Hindu is the new assertiveness of the community. For decades, the weak-kneed, self-deprecatory, mysterious, unable to meet the eye, more the decent, self-effacing Hindu was the image that was in currency in the West. How did this image gain currency in the West? Goes without saying that Nehru and his inheritors and the army of bureaucrats and journalists of those regimes, their children and grandchildren today, have perpetuated this image and mythology. And why would they do that? You do that where you project that you are smarter than this lot. Only then you can position yourself and grab all the plum international postings, UN assignments, Fulbright, Rhodes, and INLAC scholarships. And for all this to happen, you have to perpetuate the image of the meek Hindu who feels guilty and keeps a low profile and is reluctant to showcase his religious beliefs. And therefore, it goes without saying, the sight of the new Indian who goes to the West, earns well, eats well, enjoys himself more, demands service, and is not afraid to express his or her political opinion is anathema to the old world liberal Hindu. Really, more than a war between the majority and the minorities, the battle for mind space between the liberal Hindu and the mainstream, confident Hindu of now will define the contours of the Hindu faith as we go ahead in time. And so on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA show. Hope you like the show and do subscribe to us. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.